Everybody, welcome to Only in Ministry. I am Tiny Dominguez, a family pastor here at Calvary Baptist Church. Also, pastor at Community Heights Church here in Lubbock. So, honored to be back. We took a week off for spring break and decided to bring back the eye candies of our podcast.
Mainly Josh.
Dr. Josh Brown and
I'm a doctor again.
the terrific Tiffany Davis.
Hello.
And also with us for this podcast is the legend, dare I say GOAT.
Legend of the Fall.
Dare I say Lubbock Christian's all-time leading
Nothing.
basketball playing
Person. Yeah.
So Cory O'Gwin, we're very excited to have Cory.
Yay.
Cory is our missions pastor
Yay.
at Calvary Baptist Church, and as we've been focusing on missions, what better thing to do than bring in the GOAT and ask him some questions about
A lot of
mission
goats.
opportunities and about doing
A lot of farm animals.
Yep. Well, just one. Just the GOAT.
Yeah. Oh, I thought there were two different goats.
No, just one.
Okay,
It's you, greatest of all time.
Yes,
So
that kind of goat.
that's what it means.
Not the furry kind. All right.
No. And so with that, guys, how was our week? How was spring break for you two?
It was great.
You want to share a little bit about what you did?
Yeah, so I was on a mission trip last week in the Dallas area, so I got to watch college students lead high school and middle school students as they loved on refugee kids and their families, and it was just a really sweet week. Saw the gospel being shared over and over again, so it was really great.
Now, were you, one of the things I was thinking about, and just how much roughing were you doing? Did you have a hotel room? Did you stay on the floor?
I was on the floor. I was on an air mattress.
Okay. Did you take your own air mattress?
I did.
Okay. And so were you in charge of a group of kids while they slept?
I was the first one in bed every night.
Oh, I know. We know that. There's no. Tiffany goes to bed about 7:30. The sun is still out.
It's a little exaggerating.
8. Sorry.
But yeah, so I was over the college kids, and
Okay.
so I made sure they were doing good during the week.
Okay. So this is something I was wondering. Just stay at church.
We did.
And so, Josh, where did you get to go this?
I was in Portland, Oregon, hanging out with my baby and my mom and my sister.
So took Ruthie to Portland.
Yeah.
Was that Abby's first time being away from?
It was her first time with her being out of the state. So Ruth's been on adventures with me before, but never that far for that long. And so it was Abby's first time doing that. But Ruth had tons of fun. We went to the largest independent bookstore in the United States.
I'm sure as a reader, she's very happy with that.
She loves books, so I've got tons of pictures of her running through, just picking out books and then sitting there and just flipping through them. And she loved it, so it was fun.
And how was seeing your sister?
It was good. It was good to see her and talk to her, and yeah. So.
Well, us on the older side, Cory, how was your week? What did you get to do for spring break?
Nothing. Well, it worked. I got to work.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what we do.
So anything big that you got to work on?
No, just my normal stuff. My normal jobby stuff.
And just staring at the Josh's desk and Tiffany's room.
Wondering where people were while I was in the office.
Longing for us to be back.
Yes.
Yes, every day.
I know.
Yeah. Searching social media for any updates at all and not finding anything.
Not finding
So,
anything. You didn't post anything.
No.
Well, also, I was here. I didn't go anywhere to do anything, so stayed here, watched Cory work, and
That's a vacation.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very nice. But and listen to the roof as it's getting worked on here in our
Hammering on the
building.
roof.
One more thing I want to be able to share. This past Sunday, I was able to preach here at Calvary. Got through that, and then went and preached at Community Heights. So it was a full day, but we got through it. So
2 different sermons or the same
2
one
different
twice?
sermons. Yeah,
It's impressive.
I had a sermon series I'm already doing at Community Heights, so I didn't feel like I should do the same sermon. So 2 different ones.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, and talking a little bit about missions, we are excited to have Cory with us. Cory is a very close friend to me, and I think our other co-hosts would attest to that. He's a mentor, a friend,
Vegan.
You're not a vegan.
He's a vegan.
Yeah.
I was just trying to add some
Yeah.
spice to the.
Well, I was going to talk about your.
A
young
fan
kids.
of mutton.
Yeah.
What's it called when you go to Goodwill and you go
Thrifting.
thrifting?
Yeah,
He's
fan of thrifting. I'm a fan of thrifting.
He's a
Yeah.
huge
thrifting.
fan of
A
thrifting.
thrifter.
I do
And
like
we have all received gifts because of his thrifting, and so very grateful for him and his
Got mine
heart
on today.
for that.
Nice.
So,
I think he stole that. I don't think I actually gave that to him.
That's not okay.
He took that one. I didn't actually give him that hat.
I think your father actually gave it to me.
Oh,
he walked in and
that's
said,
nice.
"Hey," and I said,
You got
"Oh,
a
thanks,
puppy
Coy."
gift.
Yeah.
See, you got a puppy gift. You
you
got a
got an Uncle Si slippers.
Those are
Oh, Uncle Si
yeah, those are
slippers.
pretty
Those are
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, and Tiffany's wearing some pretty big time shoes today that are.
Pretty big time.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
who knows if you leave a comment, we'll send you a picture and you can see the shoes. And,
Yeah.
put a bid out for them.
Yes, we're gonna auction them off
We're gonna auction them off
for charity.
So
Yep.
yeah. All right. With that being said,
Tiffany's like, I don't really
Yeah,
respond
Tiffany,
to any of this.
yeah. So with that all being said, all right, going into talking to our guest, Cory, I've known you for over 20 years, and we have been friends. We both met as youth ministers at the time, or I had just become a pastor actually, or I was about to become a pastor, but 2 years in youth ministry, and then met you and saw you have even in your as a youth pastor, you had a heart for missions and serving. Where did that start? Where did that come from? Your passion for missions.
Oh well, it goes back probably definitely as a young adult. But I was one of those growing up that was seeking, really seeking to find a purpose for myself, and I knew who I was. I knew that I was led kind of to serve people, outgoing, talkative, liked to engage with people, liked small group, but I wasn't sure overall what my purpose was. And I struggled with that for many years, struggled with the old basic self-esteem. That was kind of, feeling, I was super tall, but I wasn't gigantic. I was super skinny, super lanky. So I was the obvious person in the room. And I think people were mostly drawn to me. And so I thought maybe I'm the class clown, that's what I'm supposed to be. And so even today, I kind of fall into that kind of thing. But just seeking who I was and who I was supposed to be and trying to find a purpose. And I was part of a Experiencing God class. And when we learned about our spiritual gifts, I realized that one of my spiritual gifts was service. And not too long after that, God gave me the opportunity to go on my first mission trip. And after that first mission trip, which was full of a bunch of middle schoolers, I realized, okay, this is something that God wants me to do. On that trip, actually gave me some dreams or visions or whatever that eventually what I was doing there was I was going to get to be a part of that coming to Lubbock through the World Changers organization. That got to go with my parents at the time, and so got to watch them serve, and I realized how important that was. My wife, at the time, we were very young married. She had been on mission trips, but I had never had the opportunity. We did youth camp, and that was our number one thing. We didn't have Disciple Now back then. We talked about missionaries, but didn't talk about me actually being a missionary. So that being said, that was really when it started. And once I started engaging that, all of a sudden it was like, oh, I do have a purpose. So
How old were you when all that was going on?
probably in my early 20s. Early 20s. I can't remember exact date, but it was my early 20s. So you go through your life, and I think everybody does, looking and seeking who we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do, and it's difficult. It's difficult to know that. I didn't know. I knew about missionaries, but that was somebody in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So to actually be a part of.
And there was someone on a picture, not.
Exactly.
No.
It was someone on a picture and someone that we sent money to.
Yeah.
And the only way you could be a missionary was sending money to another missionary. And they were, there was no way it was called, or I could do that person, because obviously they had to have it all together. And that's the only reason they were there, because they had it all together.
The fact that you went on a trip with a bunch of middle schoolers and then said, yep, I want to do this.
Hundreds of middle schoolers. And the funny thing about that was I don't guess that trip, we were going to Jackson, Tennessee, long drive, church van full of middle schoolers, and some adults. So we're long driving it, and we get to somewhere in Arkansas. I think it's where we spent the night, if I remember correctly. I called my wife and said, I want to come home. I don't like this. I don't want to be here.
You made it to Arkansas?
I made it to Arkansas, yeah. It had nothing to do with the students. I had, Kelly and I were teaching youth Sunday school, and I had been involved in youth ministry, and kids didn't really bother me. It really had nothing to do with a van full of screaming and yelling and weird things. I was just terrified. I didn't want to go the rest of the way because I was all of a sudden afraid of, very new. Wow. I was super afraid of what I was headed into. And we had a baby. We had Lauren at the time. And so there was all kinds of that tension and emotional and spiritual stuff of, you're just going to be terrible at this and you shouldn't go. And so I remember very, very clearly the next day, just the anxiety that I had going from Arkansas to Jackson, Tennessee. Yeah. And then when we got there and it was 10,000 degrees, I thought, okay, this is a really terrible idea. And oh Lord, it was so humid. And the only places I'd ever traveled was to the west, where the further west we went, it seemed the drier it got. So I was going, this is not a good choice at all. But it took probably about 24 hours, and I was like, watching those kids work, watching those kids serve, watching the adults interact with the kids that are serving and all the things that were going on. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. So that was when I knew, at that time I wasn't sure about youth ministry. I was doing recreation ministry, which basically I planned some events that were fun and was also a janitor. So that was kind of, I was actually creating a role at this church that didn't exist. And so anyway, that being said, I knew I wasn't really thinking through youth ministry at all. That kind of came a few years later. So once I knew that was the first thing I said to the first church I went to was, oh, by the way, we'll do youth camp, but we're also going to be doing, mission stuff. Yeah, so that's cool.
Awesome. You guys, I have several questions, but I don't know, I asked y'all to have some questions ready. Anything you guys want to ask Cory?
Mine can come later. I've got some.
Mine, that doesn't matter. I don't care.
All right. If you don't mind, Josh.
So mine is a specific mission opportunity that you currently do, though. Is it okay? We can do that. How did the Hope Closet, how did that come about? How did you start that or get involved with that?
Before you answer that one, can you tell everyone what the Hope Closet is? We've kind of given a little description of it, but
sure.
If you want to.
Okay, yeah. Basically, there was a church, an old Methodist church downtown by Lubbock High that had kind of slowly faded out. It was early 1900s is when they started, but they had slowly faded out to just a handful of people that were actually meeting in a big Sunday school classroom. They weren't even using their worship space. So back many, many moons ago, during the LA riots, the Methodists started a thing called Hope Community of Shalom. So they had turned a lot of their churches in inner cities into these, from being the church to being Hope Community of Shalom. And basically what that intention was for the Methodist Church to instead of fleeing the inner city, was to come back and be engaged in what was going on in inner city. So they had turned this church into Hope Community of Shalom. And basically its intention was to serve the community and serve the needs of the community around them. Well, one of the things that they did was a Sunday night meal pretty much every Sunday night of the year, and they had a clothes closet. So I had found out, I don't even remember how I had found out about the meal. So we we went and served a meal on one of the Sunday nights. And while we were doing that, somebody gave us a tour around the building, and there wasn't very much at all going on in the building, other than there was a church that was trying to start services there. We worked with them a little bit, did some outreach, some ministry through that little church, and then they had this clothes closet going on. Well, it was run by some elderly ladies who had been running it for a very, very long time, and so we did a clothes kind of drive through here to kind of help them, and then volunteered a couple of times and realized that one of the reasons they were struggling is they didn't want you to volunteer. Mm-hmm. They wanted to kind of do it on their own. They liked the way they did it, even though it wasn't working. So I got a call after one of our big mission trips, and I got a call from the guy that was running Hope Community of Shalom at that time, and said, hey, the ladies can't do the clothes closet anymore, and we're not sure what we're going to do. And I called one of our church members, Miss Debbie, and who had just got back from Alaska on her first mission trip and was super pumped about everything and doing missions. And I said, hey, you want to run the clothes closet? And so we went down there one day, opened the door, she cried, and I said, wait, we're not going to make you do this on your own, because it was a disaster, and stuff was just piled everywhere. It was filthy. It was a disaster. And so we began the process of, revitalizing and revamping, and we've added 3 different rooms up there, knocked down some walls, and have just kind of adapted it the best as we can. It's a very small space, and we serve around 100 to 125 people every Sunday night, and it is chaos. Josh has helped us on our new first Thursday of the month outreach that they have there, and we're doing a clothes closet for it, and so yeah, that's kind of how it started and where it's going. But it's located, like I say, I think it's 2005 Avenue T, and we're there Sunday nights for serving. We show up at 3. Everybody shows up at 3:30, I believe it is, and we go to usually about 5, and we run that many people through. So,
with that, I know people are able to drop off donations.
Yes.
So you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, the donations that people drop off. Some people drop off there at. It's called Co-op. It's no longer called. We still call it Hope, and we're called Hope Clothes. Clothes, however you say it. So it's hard to say clothes and close when you're a hick. But we're the THES one, not the
I feel like you said the same thing.
one.
I really feel like you said the same thing.
Yeah, I tried to say it twice, but you can't. Yeah. So it's so we are. But basically, you can Monday through Thursday they are open there for people to donate and drop off stuff, and then you can drop off here Monday through Thursday as well. And of course, we take all kinds of clothing. We always need towels, whether they're wash rags, hand towels, kitchen towels, or bath towels, and sheets, blankets. Currently, we think we're pretty much completely out of blankets. We have a ton of throws. So we tell people, please don't bring throws even if they're new, because they're too small to serve a purpose. And so we give them out, but there's nothing they can. I mean, some of them use them for towels,
right,
instead of throws, because there's really no purpose for them.
What's the demographic in which you serve? Like homeless, not homeless?
Yes, we have seen. Originally, when we first started, it was probably majority homeless, and we have homeless. What I've heard described as transient homeless, where they're living with friends or people, or just found a place with multiple people to hunker down till they get run out. We have basically your normal, poverty, where we have a home but we don't have a job. We're living off of whatever. Mm-hmm. And then we also have those that are newly into, and then what we call working poor, where they have jobs and they are making efforts, or maybe they're just leaving the street and going into a home. So it's a blend. But our homeless population has gone, kind of percentage-wise, has gone down a little. And so every week we have new people. Most of our people are there every week. So because they come and they get one pair of underwear and one pair of socks. So they'll come every week for their change. And there's limited on how much they can take. most of the people they limit how much they take anyway, especially those on the street, because they can only carry so much. But we ask, or usually Miss Andy will ask, are you on the street, or are you in lodging? And so we know kind of based on that what their needs might be. Each week they have the option to ask for a small hygiene bag, and that includes your normal soaps and shampoos and that kind of thing in your sample or hotel motel samples. So, but the majority was homeless. Now it's probably they're still probably in the 35% of them are homeless, but the rest of them run the complete gamut. We just had a couple who have been going through, they had a baby, and when the baby was born, they lost the baby because of drug, I think it was alcohol, not really, which is a drug, but alcohol use. They lost the baby. Then they went back through all the programs and did all their work to get the baby back, and they've just recently gotten the baby back, which is good, and they seem to be doing really, really well. So we do deal a lot with that kind of stuff as well, where once they're back on their feet, then we're helping them with different items. We have houseware stuff, so if they need like pots and pans and stuff for their kitchen, we have that kind of stuff too.
Is it just adult clothing?
We have a children's area as well. Yeah, we have a children's area as well, and we have way less children. Like if we run 120 people, probably we might have 15 of those being kids. So that's, which is strange. I'm not sure, because that's not the way it is. Like at Lubbock Impact, they're not too far from us, and I know they have a lot more children come through than we do. But it's just the demographic that is coming through. We don't know what it is. So, yeah.
Now, one of the stories, one of my that really impacted me that you shared was. I was actually there at Hope's Close with you, and it was with a grandma who brought her granddaughter, and because her parents had kicked her out, or her mom had just left her and abandoned the daughter, and she was about 12, maybe 11, and you guys went above and beyond to make sure this girl had everything she needed.
Yes.
You did. School supplies, you did clothes, I think you got her connected with Loaves and Fishes to what to do to get that.
Explain that to her as well, yeah.
And so my point with that is, one of the things that I love about you is that each person that comes through is not a number,
right.
It's a person.
Right.
And you care. And
right.
it's for me, what I love about going and serving with you at anything you do is because you care about people.
Right.
One of my highlights with Cory in his missions heart, just to let you know, is going to Sam's with him. You go to Sam's with Cory, and the employees know him, and he jokes with them, he talks with them, he interacts with them. He asks about their family. There's one. I had gone with you a couple of times, and there's one worker that you said
Ruben,
asked for me. He was
Ruben asked about where's Tiny.
Where's Tiny? And I didn't even know he knew my name, but because of how personal Cory is, I think that's anyway. I think for me, one of the things that I love about your heart for missions is it's not just to go and to get a badge like the RA badge or get a like we used to get when we were younger. You go because you care about people, and you truly do care about them, and so I really do appreciate that in you. I know Tiffany had a question she wanted to ask.
I know that you do a lot. Like I don't even know how you do, have time in the day just to do all that you do.
I'm beginning to question. So yes, I get it. Yep.
So how do you stay energized and with a desire to do all these things? How do you not run out of juice?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a question, as I guess everybody in life, we always try. I think you should at least evaluate, and for me, it's the only way to do everything is with people. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest thing I see with people with burnout, which I've had feelings of that in the past, and the only way to really move beyond burnout is, I think burnout starts with isolation, I think, and also burnout starts when you don't like what you're doing, and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I think the biggest thing for me is what brings me, kind of recharges me, brings me the most joy, honestly, is not the act of serving the individuals, which is important, but for me, that's not what brings me the most joy. It's switched over the years. It definitely used to be that, but for me, it's watching others serve. Yeah. And being able to empower them and facilitate their serving. A lot of what I do now at Hope is just stay out of the way. I am in a room sorting clothes. I used to be in the hallway. I used to be talking, sitting. Very rarely am I out in the hallway anymore. Most of the time I'm back in my little corner because everybody is doing what they should be doing, and they're better at it than I was, or better at it than I would be, because they're where they're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Tiny talked about knowing everybody and knowing the people. Our people that work our front desk, where people quote unquote check out, which basically just means they sign their name and tell us how many pieces they've taken, and it has something to do with money that's given to Hope, I guess, or to co-op or whatever it's called now. But I think what happens is, for me, I'm in the other room listening through the walls to those conversations and the laughing and the cutting up and the having fun, and then I hear the stories after the fact of Callie Burke talking to this person, or excuse me, Andy talking to this person, and that brings me the joy and recharges me. Yeah. So I think that's the most important thing. Is there's so many different elements to it, but if I was doing it on my own, I would have been done a long time ago. Yeah. And so it's having those people with you and around you, and those people knowing that I've got their back, because the best thing I can do is see your passion and say, oh, cool, how can I get involved with that? Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time, I've never created anything. All I do is find something that's going on where God's involved, and I just get behind that. Mm-hmm. Most people wouldn't even know. We had our big missions fair, and people were like, I didn't know we were doing all that. And I'm like, yeah, how long have we been doing all that? Long, long time. Yeah. But nobody knew, which I think part of that was my fault for not letting people know. But it's just how it's how I operate, mm-hmm. is operate in the back, and I don't look to be up in front, and I don't look to be recognized. I just want them to be recognized and for following God, and that being, the reaction is not the reaction to what Cory's doing, but the reaction to what is actually engaging people, what's actually helping people. Yeah. So, and there's so much to be said for those personal relationships, whether it be the relationships of the two people serving, like currently at Hope, we have, I think, 4 different churches, and then Trinity Church College Ministry started coming in every other week. We have a young adult class now that's coming in once a month from another church, and so we have all these people coming in and engaging. But there's that Christian community, but they're seeing each other serve. And then there's that community's outward serving, and those people that are being served are seeing the Christian community serving. So there's multiple functions. There's a lot of fellowship in that, which I think is cool, whether it's to the people shopping or to the people, serving. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Cory, as you talked about having, you've helped Calvary have a lot of partnerships and had a lot of opportunities to serve. With that, I think our goal was in having you is we want our people to know all 6 followers that we have right now, mm-hmm, of our podcast. Yeah, sure. That we want them to know.
They're very important too.
Very important. Mm-hmm. But on a serious note, we want to be able to help share with Calvary. Mm-hmm. Hey, these are some opportunities for you to serve. Mm-hmm. Here are some ministries that we have that we are partnered with already, mm-hmm, that you can just come and walk beside. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you don't mind, just kind of letting our church know, or people in Lubbock who watch this, hey, here's some opportunities you have. I know we have Found. Mm-hmm. I know you have Hope's Close. You want to share about any other ministries that we have going on that you have done?
Well, we
and
also
share a little bit about what they are, like
sure.
Found.
Yeah. Well, what Found is Found is an organization, nonprofit, which is not it's not church based. It's out. They're just their own nonprofit, but they are Christ focused, and their ministry started basically through, I believe, the high school at Cooper, and so a mom, Shay, just felt God leading her to serve the kids there at the school, and she started her own little clothes closet. My sister knew her through another organization that they were doing together, and so basically what happened out of that was other people said, man, I wish our school had this, I wish our school had this. And so basically what they do is they have hygiene, they have school supplies, they have clothing, and they have snack bags. And the snack bags are kind of cool because we do, through our loaves and fishes, we do like 430 a week of these weekend snack bags. But these snack bags are a little bit smaller, and they're for school. So they're for engaging. So if a teacher can come and say, I have a kid that's hungry during the day, and they get a little snack bag during the day to keep them focused. And so they're doing just thousands upon thousands of those things. But basically, to be involved in Found, you just can, there's different options. One is they have 3 big sheds around the city, and you can donate on those sheds. And you can, I believe it's foundmission.org. And you can also find them on Facebook. But you can basically, when people donate to them, then they do all their sorting through the clothing that they need. And when they're done with it, they call me, and then I get those same clothes. I sort through those, and so then what I don't need goes to 3 or 4 other ministries. Like we just delivered a trailer load of clothes to Lubbock Impact yesterday, children's clothes. And so when you're involved in, what's cool is when you're involved in Found, you're also involved in Hope Clothes, you're also involved in Lubbock Impact, you're also involved in the Highland Baby Closet, you're also involved with Beds for Kids, because Beds for Kids is another ministry where which is exactly what they do, is they build beds for children. And so all of these things are all intertwined. So our loaves and fishes we serve through Community in Schools, and Community in Schools is an outside nonprofit that works through schools. So anyway, all these things are opportunities that we've intertwined and connected, because we're all basically doing the same thing. Some of us are doing them in Christ's name. Some of the folks with Community in Schools are doing them for Jesus, but the organization itself is not a Christ-focused organization. But that's okay, because I believe they're doing what Jesus has called us to do, and so we can get behind them, even though they don't know they're doing it for Jesus. They actually are, whether they like it or not, maybe in some cases. So if that makes any sense. So there's lots of different ways. Basically, what I like to tell people is, what are you passionate about? What do you feel like God's wanting you to do? Let's talk about it and see if we can figure out the best way for you to do that. So
one of the things Tiffany said in our last podcast that I really appreciated was she didn't realize our footprint over local Lubbock missions. That we had so many different things going on.
Sure, yeah.
I'm paraphrasing her. It's not an exact quote, but she mentioned that in our last one, and as we talk about that, we also have a footprint in different places.
Sure.
You want to share a little bit about those, about
Sure.
what you've done in the past, and also currently where people can serve?
Okay. Yeah, I think, like you talked about inside the community, I had a friend one time said, when are you going to be mayor of Lubbock? And I was like, yeah, that's a silly thing. So my thing about...
This is what we're announcing today.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely not. What's funny to me is I was born and raised here. I left for 2.5 years, but I always felt, even after that, during that 2.5 years, that God wanted me to come back here. I don't know why, but God's given me a heart and a passion for the city of Lubbock. And even as it grows, of course that has to grow, because it's crazy how Lubbock's grown and how the opportunities have grown. And so in order to serve the community, as the community gets bigger, you have to involve other organizations, you have to involve other people, because you can't do it by yourself. And even if everybody in our church was involved in what we do, we still wouldn't have enough people to do it. So for me, it's all about finding God somewhere, and then just saying, hey, how can I be a part of this? So there's an obedience. To me, it's just an obedience thing, and it's constantly being available to say yes when your first thought process is usually no. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you said, I've got plenty going on. I've already got all these other things going on. The easiest thing I could do is say no. And what I've learned is not every time I say yes, because I'm still the human factor in it, but the vast majority of the time it's turned out okay. Now, there have been times that I've said yes when I went, oh my goodness, that was not a good choice. And then you have to deal with that choice, because I think sometimes in obedience, it's stepping out in faith, but that faith is still mine, which is still faulty. You know what I mean? So, but nothing's ever been damaged by me going down the wrong road. I've just had to go, oops, okay, we can't go that way. Let's all go back over here. So that being said, opportunities, to serve and to do those kind of things, to me, comes from just being willing to be obedient, just being willing, to say yes. So, when some of the other stuff, that we've been involved in the past was what I talked about earlier, coming from Jackson, Tennessee, was this vision of bringing World Changers to Lubbock. Well, it took 10 years before that happened. And in that time, we worked on over 200 homes in the Lubbock community, and we were almost 100% construction-based ministry at Calvary. Everything we did, everywhere we went, everything was construction-based. And it really became a focus. I'm not big in construction. I mean, Josh could work circles around anything that I can do, but that was just seemed to be the direction God was taking us. And then one time we had the opportunity to go and do a kind of a church plant type thing that had nothing to do with construction. And so it was a World Changers, but under a different name. So we showed up, and my construction guys were there, and they were like, where's the work? And I said, well, we're going to walk all these blocks and hand out these flyers. No. you lied to us. I said, no, you didn't come to the meetings, because we talked about this. So our whole thing was helping a church planter. And once we did that, construction didn't completely die, but we opened up this new phase, which had to do with church planting, had to do with those kind of ministries. So that was crazy. And that was weird to me too. I feel better on a roof, even though I love to interact with people. I like that separation, and there was a safety of being on a roof or in a backyard putting up a fence. And our guys that were even teenagers that were so used to that were like, whoa, people are, what? We're going to do what? We're going to go to this park and interact with people? Yeah, it's going to be fun. No, even those little teenagers like, where's the roof? I like to hide up on the roof. So God just kind of began to transition that in different phases. And that led us, through World Changers, it led us to meet a pastor from Gallup who said, hey, we're doing a new project in World Changers in Gallup. And I said, cool, we're doing a new one in Lubbock. And I said, we'll come to yours if you come to ours. And they were like, done. So we went to theirs, they came to ours, and that's where we met Pastor Aaron, and that's where we've now had a 15-year ministry connection there in Gallup and on the Navajo Nation, which was funny because it really was just hey, you need to sign up for our project because nobody's going to come to Lubbock. and so anyway, those kind of things started. We still do that. Through the church planting thing, that just kind of began to happen, gave me this passion of working with different church planters. And we worked with some in Denver, we worked with some in Castle Rock, we've worked with some in New Mexico, but that led me just to think, okay, God, I really feel like you want us to go somewhere. I searched for 5 years in southern mountains of New Mexico with nobody wanting to have it, like I had some kind of horrible disease, and these pastors were like, absolutely not, I don't know what you're talking about, to God leading us all the way to almost the top of northern New Mexico, where we're currently partnering with Desert to Summit. So it's one of those things with, even in obedience, my mind was completely set on south, and I knew God wanted us to go to Cloudcroft, those kind of areas, and God was saying, I don't know where you got that from, and I want you all the way up in the north. So that was an obvious opportunity. So again, that's an opportunity that we have to serve there as well. So, but it seems disheveled, but somehow it always ends up being what we're supposed to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Which some of your clothes go to Taos too.
Some of our clothes go to Taos. Some of our clothes have gone to the reservation. Some of our clothes have gone, well, they've gone a lot of places.
Yeah.
And we've gotten our clothes from a lot of funny places. And it's just, and sometimes when we get a call, I'm like, oh, I can't deal with this. And we had a huge trailer that came from a couple of years back when there was a huge fire up in the Panhandle. We had a huge trailer full of clothing that came to us from the Panhandle, and then one time we had a huge bunch of clothing that came from Rio Dosa during the fires in Rio Dosa, because people like to donate their clothes, and there was no need,
Right.
because people leave, and so it's hard to clothe people that don't exist.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny, and we sent stuff. We
Yeah.
did send stuff to Rio Dosa, and so on that trailer that went, it brought back. So that's how, and I think that's God's connection too. Of
Amen.
y'all have way too much, but I guess I'll use what y'all have.
Yeah.
Y'all definitely spend too much money in wrong areas, but I'll take advantage of that and we'll clothe some people,
Right.
or I'll take advantage of that and we'll feed some people.
Right.
So that's how it goes, I think.
Very cool.
Cool.
Did that answer your question at all?
You did. I wanted you to. If
Say,
you,
wait, what's the question?
What was the question? Yeah.
if you could share with people how they can get connected. That's the second part of that question.
Yes. Yeah, the best way to get connected is just to reach out to me, and just to reach out to me at the email or just say I want to get involved. I get calls like that all the time, and I get calls from people. Hey, I heard that you do this. How can my organization get connected? Or here's some stuff. We even had one time a clothes closet that just didn't happen, and they heard about us, and we went and cleaned out their clothes closet and sent it in a different direction. So we do. I mean, it's crazy. So anything you feel like you want to be connected to, just reach out to Cory, and I'll connect you. Honestly, that's the best way.
Okay. So you heard it here. Get connected with Cory, and he will help you find a place to serve and to be a part of our missions ministry here at Calvary Baptist. And you might not, and for those of you who have a heart for missions, we're not asking you to become members of Calvary. We're asking you to help serve in missions.
Right.
You don't have to be a member to go and help at Hope Close,
That's right.
or to go to help in Taos. How many churches have gone to Tohatchee with us?
We've had right around 15 to 17 different churches that have gone with us. So, and currently 5 of those now that go on their own without us. So they've made their own personal connections, whether to Wingate or Tohatchee, and they go on their own. And one group, I found out while they were there, and I was like, oh, I didn't know they were coming. And Pastor Aaron said, yeah, you sent them. No, I didn't even know they were coming. So,
but because I know that group, because of what they heard that we're doing, they decided to come and
That's
connect.
awesome.
yeah, they connected. Yeah. So that's huge. And that's what's really cool. I mean, getting to take Tiffany, getting to take Josh, you going more than once, your nephew going, my niece going, my wife and daughters going, all these different people that have gone, they have different, you have different people in your circle than I have. So every time somebody goes, that widens the circle. Mm-hmm. And that's where we've had different, church groups that have joined us. That's, it starts with one person. And I always tell a church group or an individual that reaches out to me and says, I wish our church could go. And then I say, okay, go. And I'll help you go. And then you go back to your church and you tell your church. Yeah. I had one of our groups that is from Opdyke. They're a cowboy church in Opdyke, Texas, and their daughter in her class at school, a young girl, I think they were 3rd graders. Her friend came back from a spring break trip and was going, oh, we did this, we got to do this, we got to do this. And then her friend went home and told her parents, who then found out who I was and reached out to me and said, my daughter is driving us nuts. She wants us to go to the reservation. And I said, oh, did she? And she said, well, she has a friend that went and met, and that's all she talked about at school. And the daughter was like, we have to go. So they went with us on a trip, came back, told their pastor, then their whole group went back, and now they've been twice on their own, all based upon that little girl giving a testimony in her class and her friend going, yeah, God, I may just be a 10-year-old or whatever, but God's calling us to
That's
to
cool.
go to the res.
That's
so,
awesome.
And so that was really cool. And now they're super engaged.
And one thing that I love that Cory encourages is make it a family mission trip.
Yeah.
And take your littles, take your
Yep.
babies.
Yep.
It's neat to see them serving and helping,
Yeah.
and seeing people. You know, I think of the Burks, and you know they have Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
How many people draw to us because of Lucy?
Oh, for sure.
You know,
Yeah, for sure.
Because you know they love the little
Yep.
girl, the
Yep.
baby, and they'll come and talk to us and
Yeah.
they'll connect with
And
us.
Nathan before that.
Yeah.
And it's huge. And I tell parents all the time, it's not about, and I tell people all the time, it's not about how young you are or how old you are. It's about we're all called to do this. This is not, we're not called to do it, we're commanded to do it. Now, where are you commanded to go? I don't know. It's different for everybody. I know people commanded, and God has them, like my daughter, in a foreign country. I've never been on a mission trip other than Puerto Rico in a foreign country. So
Puerto Rico's part of the United States.
it is, but they don't want you. They don't talk that
No,
way.
no, no.
So they would say, "Hey, stop saying that."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things where you feel called, where God leads you, that's up to you. But you are commanded, you are called to go and serve people. And the Bible lists the 3 different locations of where you're supposed to go share the gospel and stuff. And I think, so many of us think, yeah, that's for somebody else, or my kids are too old, or my kids are too young, or I'm too old. And we've had 80-year-olds, we've had brand new babies. We've parked on the side of the road on the reservation waiting for one baby to have lunch, and had a whole caravan of people waiting, and okay, we're ready. And then we all got back on and went when baby was done, because baby needed to be safe and couldn't have dinner or lunch or whatever with the vehicles rolling. So, but we all waited because we're all part of that same team, and that baby was important, to that ministry of that on that trip. So yeah, it's never. I have to tell you this one quick thing that got me in trouble years ago in a Sunday school class here. I went into a young adult Sunday school class, and I made the statement of don't blame your children for your own disobedience. And boy, there were some hostiles. But Callie Burke said God convicted her, and she went, "Oh, I'm sorry, God, that's what I was doing." Because her thing was, well, when my kids get older, But it was her own fear, because she was introverted and she was afraid to go and scared to go. And when I made that statement, God convicted her. The other ones, not all of them, but a couple of them were way too busy thinking of themselves and how dare you. But it was the truth. Well, our kids are involved in that, and our kids are involved in that, and our kids are involved in that. But your kids aren't. You're involved in that. Those kids can't do that on their own, And so that was the whole thing was, well, it's their fault. It's their fault. It's their fault. No, you're the parent. It's your fault. And so for some of them, that stirred correctly in them, and others, it just made them mad, So, but I think that's something we all should hear. Don't blame other things for your own disobedience. Don't blame your health. Don't blame your whatever for your own disobedience. If God's calling you to do something, He will prepare you, and He will get you through that. And so that's huge. I mean, to me, that